My voice. Albinism and the entertainment industry. Hello world, my name is Regina Mary and welcome to My Voice. If you've been staying tuned to all our episodes, you would find that we had a model, we had a rapper and a music video vixen. Today's episode, we've got two dynamic actors. So in the entertainment industry, whatever story needs to be told, whether it's a movie, documentary, awareness, we always have to use particular actors that fit the criteria. And today is all about that. Persons with albinism and movies and acting. Are they actors? Are they just used for the program to tell the story? In today's studio, we've got Bob 90 and Paul Chope, amazing actors to share that journey with us. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Bob 90 and Paul Chope to the show.
Oh, Regina. Give me a hug, man.
Thank you for coming. Hi.
It's been a while.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Have a seat.
Course.
Amazing, dynamic gentlemen in the studio. I am so honored to have you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for praising this presence with your dynamic creation. Voice would like to know, why did you accept our invite to be on My Voice? Anybody can go first.
Imagine if there's a sexy albino sister calling you. So, hi, I'm Regina, and what would you do if you Bob? Accept.
You would be sitting right here next to Regina Mary, yes.
Well, for me, it's basically the work that you've been doing, and again, I've met you offset and everything, so I know the person and the energy you carry. So I'm like, every time you do something, I gotta come through.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, gentlemen, amazing. You guys do a whole lot of things. You know, you guys are singers, you are authors, you tell us about that. But today's particular episode is you guys being these dynamic actors, you know. So for Oliver that's watching, Bob 90 and Paul Chope are actors, they're authors, they're singers, the list goes on. But today's particular episode is basically focused on Uzalo, the entertainment industry and storytelling. So to just fill you in, Bob 90 and Paul took part and were supporting actors in a South African drama series called Uzalo that plays in 52 countries nationwide for the world to see. And when that episode played, of course, it was about albinism and awareness. Of course, if you know the stories on albinism, we'll just interact on that. The episode kind of caused a bit of controversy. People were worried. People felt it wasn't properly portrayed. Others went on believing that the myths about people with albinism could be true. Others are still confused. So to clear everything out, we brought in Paul Chope and Bob 90 to the show to explain the journey of acting and acting on albinism and basically what the story was telling.
ufuna nje ukubulala indodakazi yami ubulalela umuthi ukwazi kwakufanele afe njengawe kwakufanele lethe inhlanhla kulomndeni kodwa ukwenza indodakazi yami ngiyamthanda umuntu ofuso nje kuphela useyindodakazi hayi kangazi kwabantu bamasendleleni bayeza njengamanje futhi abathehlele emuva wahlalela enhlizweni ungazithengisa igazi lakho
unaye angeke azamdedela ngakamthola ukhwezi
Pho indaba ningayo amaphoyiseni mama.
bheka umusa kawasaba amaphoyisa abantu bakhe banamandla akundlula amaphoyisa ingakho sabaleke mangosi
Umeyancane inhlobo yini yamuntu lo bheka umusa.
So gentlemen, thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Any of you could start in terms of, firstly, let's just share more of the episode, what happened, and what it was about, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Firstly, the episode was about albinism awareness. September is Albinism Awareness Month in South Africa, so we had to do something about it.
Right.
And so it made sense for Uzalo to bring this on board and say, look, we've got an opportunity that will allow you guys to tell a story. And it's a true South African story. It's a story about the happenings of a person with a condition.
Right. Okay.
And again, you know, it's always in I think in our country we always try and raise issues that are concerning and that are current. So I mean, with albinism issue, it was very important that they highlight that, because most of the time when people are taken, everybody knows these things are happening, but nobody's actually, or we are maybe afraid of raising them in and showing their country what is happening, because
Right.
to people who have lost their loved ones, that story is not fake, because they
Right.
know it's what happened.
Definitely. So for all the viewers who have not watched this particular episode, would you just like to take them through what was the episode about? What was the initial action that was taking place that was saying this happens in community, but we are acting it out for you guys to see? Would one of you like to share that?
Okay, the story is about a man called Simon who's born somewhere in Manguza. Manguza is the rural sides of KZN, almost next to the border lines of I think Swaziland, Maputo, and KwaZulu-Natal.
Right.
Now, what is happening is this guy runs away from Manguza to KwaMashu,
Okay.
and he gets to KwaMashu trying to live his life. And by the way, Simon has got a kid with the condition Ukwezi. Played by a young girl whose her name is Zulu,
Okay.
and the story is about a caring father
Right.
of a child with the condition, not wanting his child to be faced with the consequences of living with the condition.
Okay.
So basically, it's just taking you through the emotions of how this family survived in and out of Manguza to even the hardships of being in KwaMashu.
Right. So that particular character we're talking about, the father, is actually Bob 90, who had the daughter in the play. So just going further, what was the story trying to tell? Is it almost all the cases with albinism that relate into that factor, or this particular one had a particular target and a particular outline that he wanted to share?
I think personally, I think it's a specific to try to and to educate about the killings.
Right.
So I mean, we have different lives with people with albinism. I mean, it's the same thing as a person that I would say our traditional, even if we are black people with pigmentation.
Right.
There's a person who is living in a bridge, there's a homeless person, there's a person who is a millionaire or whatever.
Right.
They all have the same condition, but they are different lives. So at times what happens is that you cannot say this person's story is more important than that. So what I'm trying to say is, as people with albinism, we have there are people in rural areas, there are those who are in Gauteng or those who are in suburbs.
Right.
The killings are normally or mostly happening in the rural area. So this story was narrated or trying to relay that story of a killing. So it wasn't actually highlighting any other, even though we have different dynamics.
Yazi noma amaphoyisa ekhona kumele angisabe. Ngoba thina siqhubeke ngalento esiyenzayo.
Uyazi amaphoyisa afana la ngabe iwona abheka labantu kunokuthi babhekwe yithini.
Ngiqinisele lapho. Yazi ukuthini? Kumele bekhona abanye abashona ngala. Kube khona abanye abashona ngala. Kodwa showcase kumele bekhona into esitholayo.
Indoda efile le.
It was only not about killings,
Right.
but it was about breaking myths around the condition.
Yes.
Reason why I took it over was because it would have been better for me as a person with the condition to tell a true albino story, you know. So I as an ambassador, it made sense to take it through, to say, look, I understand. I mean, I'm albino myself, so there's no other way. I don't know any other feeling besides this, but to just tell a story of a true person with the condition and to break the myths. So the whole storyline was not really about the killings,
Right.
but it was about breaking myths that this person will still suffer. This person will still go through the hardships.
Right.
This person can also have fun in being himself. This person can go through any other situation with his condition.
Bazalwane, umama Magwala ube nesicelo sokuthi silivule ibhokisi ukwenzela ukuthi kuzocima lo mlilo wamanga ngokushona kwabantu abane-albinism. Ngizocela umama Magwala esondele.
Hamba kahle ndodana yami. Ngizomnakekela ukhwezi. Uzohlala ebalulekile. Noma engehlukile. Ngizocela ivesi beyinye nje. Ngicela ningilekelele ngane sami. Uma ngisuka kuwona lo mhlaba omdala ngizohamba nginokujabula ngokuJesu uzongilenisa
Definitely. So, that's amazing, because also the fact that we all have albinism, and you being put to play that role, of course, you wouldn't just do something that would be against what you know. So you agreeing to do to the part, you actually understood what the director was trying to portray, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Definitely. So in this particular episode, what particular myth were we trying to erase? Because of course we don't die, we disappear, we can cure HIV and AIDS, we can make people rich, all these crazy stories that they pile up as the myths are not erased. So in that particular episode, what myth were we trying to teach the people or educate them about?
Well, I'll start with the end, of which is the funeral.
Okay, yes.
That's the part where we say, hey, they do die.
Definitely.
So they don't disappear. But the other myth was also, you're never going to be rich, because we see a poor family, and yet, Simon, of which is Babu Mtetwa, would have killed her daughter.
Right.
Yes. So with that, the family back in Manguza is still poor.
Yes.
And yet they had this treasure. So it was about, look, they still will be poor with the condition. That was the storyline. And it was told in a unique way. I was there, man. So what do you think?
Definitely. Okay, yes.
And again, there has been obviously the criticism that has came with it was from an angle that says it wasn't portraying positively albinism, and many were saying that we always portray albinism from a point of a person who is struggling, is never a lawyer or is never somebody. But at this particular point, I think it was that kind of awareness that we're trying to portray. Siyanibingelela bazalwane. It is amazing that people believe myths about us without even questioning the logic of it. They see us living in the same poverty as they are, yet they believe that our body parts will bring them wealth. It doesn't make sense, Bazalwane. They want you to believe that when we die, we disappear, but they are using our body parts as mutis. The reason for all these wrong myths is so that you are deceived while their brutality continues. If you remember, the killings were high in Tanzania, and there were intensified efforts to combat that. As we speak, there are over 145 people with albinism killed, and there hasn't been even a single arrest. Right now, we have a situation where there's killings in Mozambique, Swaziland, even right here in South Africa. We need to set up a regional court that will deal with these killings, as we have a situation where more people have not been arrested. This cannot continue, Bazalwane. Any country in Africa that thinks that their country is safe clearly does not understand that we have professionals involved in this as killers.
Well, thanks for coffee. Here's the thing. I'll argue this and say to you, first of all, in Zulu, there's a saying that says, "Imoto maimile, ayikhonkotwa izinja," meaning if you are stationary, nobody's gonna say anything about it.
Right.
See, that's the first point. Secondly, everybody with the condition, we even went to a conference, I remember you were there, where people started arguing it.
Yes.
But the first argument for me is, has anybody ever came and putting it out there?
Right.
Now, my idea of even being a part of the whole initiation of the story was, let me be the pioneer that will go out there and get people talking. Now,
We are talking.
and now we're talking. I mean,
Exactly.
we're sitting on this show, we're talking.
Yes.
So clearly that means there was something done.
Yes.
Secondly, if you're saying to me, it wasn't portrayed properly,
Yeah.
I'll say, show me another story that portrayed it properly.
Right.
Because there's got to be somebody that has done something for you to come say anything.
Right.
But it's funny that it's not only, in South Africa, we're not only talking of Uzalo. They came, they did Seven the Land, and nobody's talking about it. So what are we saying? Are they bad actors? Most probably. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, good. Sorry. No, don't delete that. But here's the thing. It's true talent that was given there, and true actors who came in and gave a true story. So for me, if you're saying anything, I'm saying to you, was the story not worth it? One, it's fine. Can that?
What stigmas are making challenges so that people can be where they want to be? There are lots of stigmas that maybe that's why people are bowling us in one sense that, okay, people with albinism are this, people with albinism. It's because of barriers that are there.
Yes.
But now, it is very important that we highlight challenges that are there. And secondly, as much as people who are complaining are saying that, look, this is portraying albinism in a negative way. I understand what they are saying, but the truth is, there are various lives. There are people who are in rural, deep in rural. I mean, for an example, I was in Malawi. I went with this Osisa to Malawi. And there was this community where, for the first time in my life, I was scared. Like, here you can walk around and be scared. There's a different levels to this thing of being scared for your life. Now, they have killed, I think, 5 people with albinism in that community. So we're doing awareness there. I was speaking there. To go to the loo, you have to get 4 people to go with you, because that's how scary it is. So there are some people, if we are in Gauteng, we can speak about things and say, no, this is bad, this is portraying albinism in this way. But it's because we are not in that deep rural areas where it's isolated, even electricity and everything else is not there, and people are actually abused. So for that particular child who is living with albinism, who is deep in rural areas, their life also matters as much as mine or yours, who are in cities. So it is key that when we raise positive issues, we should not forget that there are those people who are still being killed. There are graves that are, it was interesting that they said that when they created Uzalo, they did stats. There's a SAPS stats that are compiled.
Right.
There are social, because
DSD.
people go and complain. DSD, social development, came to part and said, look, there are these issues are there because people go there and say, for an example, I can tweet about my challenges.
Yes.
But somebody who has nothing and is in a rural area, the only place they have is police station. So they go to police station and say, I have a problem, Regina is abusing me or is doing this and that. They don't have platforms that we have. So those are compiled, and also graves that are disturbed. Then the social development comes and say, look, how do we solve this? Maybe this is raising issues about this particular issues, about killings, about people not dying. So those were one issues or two issues that they were trying to give out from that particular report that they have. So I think for me, it is key that we, and because also maybe I'm speaking from privilege in a sense that sometimes I go to communities and I go here, I go there. I understand that our lives are different. There's Regina, there's I would say maybe for an example, so and so who is with albinism. They might, somebody is living in Sandton with albinism, and you cannot.
And somebody's in suits like
Yeah.
you. Yeah, of course.
Definitely, and somebody's in rural areas where they don't have anything else. And we need to be the voice of those people who have no voice. And I think that is your show. What I like about it is that it has various voices, and those voices needs to be aired, because you cannot just speak about positivities in albinism. It will be unfair, because there are negativities, and as much as we don't want it to happen, but it is happening and it needs to be highlighted.
Definitely. Wow, that is a very amazing information that came up, in the fact that you are right. When we talk about albinism, we focus more on South Africa and who's got it better. We forget about the deeper parts, like Malawi, Tanzania, and the fact that yes, other people do live in villages. And you mentioned that the audience found the story being negative, right? What?
No, not the audience.
Viewers.
The albinism community. Not the audience. I'll put it down and I'll be straight. Most people I've met after the whole episode,
Right.
people would say we've learned,
Yes.
and we've gotten something out of this. And my goal for the past 3 years was, I'm gonna make this popular.
Okay.
So in it, the idea was, let's make it popular first, so that people start thinking Utimpo is sex. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, to say, look, I mean, if we start looking at Mpo as a human being, then the rest becomes history, or we'll try and understand the deeper parts of it.
Okay.
So that was the point. But at the end of it all, the idea is simple, Mpo. Whether Mpo is from Sandton, and I'm from the deeper sides of the ghetto.
And we are in South Africa.
Yeah, and we are, okay, by the way, we're in South Africa. So the idea is, if you look at him and look at me, look at yourself, you realize that we're from 3 different worlds.
Yes.
But are we ever going to tell a story, or are we ever going to get people talking of a condition, not a situation?
Because, to add on that, it's key that we have situations where, I guess, people want to own albinism. In a sense that, I'll make an example. I will tell a story, or the story that is favorite to me.
Right.
And favorite to me might be that, a successful person with albinism. But that is just a portion of albinism as a community. But now, when somebody is in rural areas, I as Mpo must understand that. Or for an example, I'll make an example. There are people with albinism who drop out of school in standard 2.
And that's a fact.
Because of situations that were there. Now, I cannot come here and say, I want to speak about universities. While some people, because of their reality, is that they don't have standard 3 or grade 5 or 7. So for me, and that has, I speak from a privilege in a sense that I go to these communities. Sometimes today I'm here in Gauteng. Tomorrow I'm deep in northern or northwest.
Right.
That gives me that sense of, look, we are not the same. And if we treat albinism issues, we must understand that there are people who are denied access to education. There are people who are denied opportunities at work. There are people who are abused. There are people who are killed. There are graves that are disturbed. And in all these aspects, we cannot just say, I understand and I respect the fact that we need positive stories.
Right.
But we must not be positive at the expense of others.
Yes.
And so it is very important that when we speak albinism, we don't just say, but on TV they don't show people who are rich with albinism. They don't show graduates with. Yes, I understand and I agree that we need more stories that are positive about albinism, that are saying, look, regardless of where I am, regardless of what happened to my situation, I'm here and I'm pushing forward. But at that time, we must not forget that there are those who are there, who their reality is completely different from Regina or from Prop 90.
Bob is poor, you can't say that.
I'm also poor.
Amazing. So, okay. So basically, we have two separate entities here. So we've got people with albinism who felt that the story shouldn't have gone in that direction.
Yeah.
At the same time, we also have people who don't have albinism who are to be taught that this is what's happening. So if you don't know about it, open your ears, be part, play a role, understand.
Yeah.
So there's other people who also saw the program and actually believed or assumed that persons with albinism can actually make them rich, right, in terms of the story.
Okay.
So I would also like the part of the funeral. So for all of you who haven't seen the episode, it'll be playing right there. So there's a part of the funeral where, yes, you were killed, and from what I saw in the episode, they found your body and there was a funeral. In most cases, the rumors are persons with albinism don't die. Us, we disappear, which is crazy because then you get a report on a story that says the body was looted. It was unburied and body parts were taken. So how can you take a body that already disappeared? So I believe in that particular part that was outlined that we do die, we do get buried. So in terms of the others who took it the other way around to say, oh my God, it's true, if I go and kill that person, I'll be rich. How do we change that narrative? What message were we sending outside people with albinism who are living this? And like you said, it's not about you who has it all together. It's about the foundation that we are unrooting rural areas and other people who don't have those opportunities. So to the viewers that saw it, because somebody mentioned that, one of the viewers that watched it mentioned to our program that they didn't end the story with letting them know what went on further in terms of the story. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
I think.
Okay, you want to take it over?
I think, albinism. Firstly, I think there's more in productions of albinism. There needs to be. We need to be hands-on. For an example, I'm an author,
Right.
and at the same time, they need to say, look, how if we're representing albinism, let's write stories, but let's ensure that or people with albinism come up with stories. But at the same time, we need to understand the Ozalo part was to highlight the challenges, and it wasn't necessarily the continuation and everything. It was just to say, look, we have a crisis or we have a problem in South Africa, and this is the problem. Let's highlight that. Perhaps later on they might just bring or continue, but I don't know about that part. Maybe Bob would have.
Okay. Okay, Stained Class does Uzalo, right? Thanks to them. Thank you very much, guys, for the opportunity that I was granted to do this particular show. Kwezi was not killed. Now this means the daughter. Kwezi didn't die, but Kwezi went to a shelter where she'll be protected.
Okay.
Now this means if the writers feel that she could come back, she still has a chance of coming back and growing the story.
Definitely.
But think about it this way. We've got a couple of soapies. Now this is not a South African show I would have won. If we're about to tell a story or a narrative, will this narrative grow bigger than what it is? For the first time in soapy or in telenovelas, it's the first time where you see a story that is told by an albino or by albinism.
Yeah, you keep saying that, so I don't want to confuse you.
No, I don't have a problem. Look, to your viewers at home, let's think about it this way. I'm sorry, Regina.
It's okay.
Whether I call it albinism, I call it albino, or I call it whatever. At the end of the or albinian or whatever that is, at the end of the day, that's what people say.
Yes.
Until you guys, and I count myself out, are out of the stigma yourselves, then it becomes easy for people to relate.
Right.
Now, at this point in time, what we need to be working hard for is that people should be able to relate to who you are and what you're about, not your condition. Because what we've been selling throughout and what people are complaining about is their skin condition, but nothing else sells me as an actor. You're acting as well. But not all the shows that you do are about albinism now, you see.
Yes.
It's now of late. But aren't you a pioneer of allowing others with talent to come through and do this? So whether Uzalo did a storyline that didn't matter or what, but for me, it is about us getting to talk.
Right.
And thanks to that today you called me to your show.
So thank you, Uzalo.
And about the name for person, this is, you know, and this is what I love about people, is that we have various opinions, and doesn't make any opinion better than the other. It's just that we are airing our different views about. For me, names are just.
Okay, sorry important to interject. I'll interject again. I'm sorry about this. We're calling it albinism, we're calling it whatever, right? But my name, I'm born as Simpiwe Melus, and then I've got a surname. So why would you then put me in a box and start calling me living with or someone with? You understand that?
Yes.
So the point is here, Mpo, whether we like it or not, or we saying people do call you that. You like it or not, you know.
Yeah.
People will say, that guy, that's in Sutu. In Kaoleana, that's in Shawales, that's in Zulu.
Yeah.
Now, what are you saying to me? Are you saying let's not run away from the fact that no matter how good you could look, Mpo, chances are to some point you are still albino.
Yeah, but the truth is, the facts
Am I
are
wrong?
not the truth. Let me tell you something.
Okay, the facts are not the truth.
Yeah, let me
Okay, we are on to bring your show.
No, it's good because it's voices.
Yes, and we have to address, because at the same time, you see, albinism, okay, I don't know, it's a medical definition from a doctor, right, which defines the condition of the skin, the fact that we don't have color, right? But I think to that extent, that's just it. And then there's other words in African languages like Leswefe, Nkau. Those don't mean that. That Nkau is a monkey, you know, Leswefe is a
Okay, what is albino? Because if you go deep into your dictionary, it says it's an animal with no color. Right? Okay. That's what your dictionary would say. Oh, my learned friend, does the dictionary say that? It says it's an animal with no color.
Right. Yeah.
But then, do you then call a pigmented person an animal with color?
No, that's why that SM.
But we call them blacks and whites. Right?
Yeah.
Wrong? Yes? No? Maybe?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So then, I'm saying to you, I feel that it's about time
To embrace
what is ours. We are born with it. We cannot change it.
Okay.
But let us embrace it.
There's a different program that we're trying to do, right? And that program is that we're bringing, because I've been working with various organizations with albinism. So what we're trying to do, probably in a year or two, we're getting people, organizations with albinism and people with albinism to say, look, in Setswana maybe, in Sizulu, instead of saying Nkau, let's say
Abantu bespiwe. In Zulu, that's Abantu bespiwe, right? Now that's wrong for me. And I'm gonna interject because I was in one of these meetings.
Yeah, wait.
No, allow me. Let's just have a friendly argument with this.
Yeah.
Now, if you're gonna call me Abantu bespiwe, meaning people of gifts, right?
Yeah, yes.
Are you saying to me, everyone with the condition has got a gift? Okay, chances are everybody's got a gift somehow, right? But I can never write like you do. But you can't sing like I do. Neither can I act like you do. So, point is, still, no matter what we come up with, it would be a certain collective that is coming up with an argument, because it's an argument.
Right.
I mean, I don't believe that I'm albino.
Yeah.
I believe that I've got a name before albino, you see.
Yeah.
For those reasons, it's safe. But for allowing Bompo and his friends and his learned people to sit down and create a name that works for everybody, that doesn't work for me.
Listen to this, what we said.
Yes.
It's actually an idea that I came with. To say, look, not Mpo and his friends, but organizations, various organizations and various communities with albinism. Even Bob would say, as a Zulu man, for an example, you would say, as a Zulu man, I think, and it wouldn't be everybody, it will be people with albinism.
Okay,
listen to why I say
Okay,
that.
okay, I'm about to laugh. I'm about to laugh. You know why? Okay, fine. You remember that meeting? We went, I was there.
Okay, but
okay,
we the audience
okay, fine.
don't know
Let me
about
finish.
it. So,
And then what's going to happen is that
Okay.
a person who's and this is only people with albinism. And I'll tell you why I say people with albinism must come up with names. We've been called names that are demeaning.
yes.
And giving yourself a name, it will be taking that power to say, look, you have been calling me, but I have a decision to make. And that decision is to say, instead of saying, because I'm, maybe you are Zulu, I'm Mtswana.
Right.
And I'll say, okay, maybe I come up with, or a whole lot of people come with 50 names, for an example, in Setswana. And then those names, everybody decides, okay, or continues to say, look, Bob, what do you think about this? Maybe 5 names would come up with.
Right.
And then in that 5 names, we ask kings, and we ask elders, and we ask educated people, you know, and in terms of linguistics, to say what name would be positive, and not just positive, but it would be names that we come up with.
Okay.
Because if we are here, for an example, Saudi the other day was saying Albinians, and without saying a person with albinism, what other name in our traditional name can we come up with?
Opinions.
Okay, so amazing topic. So basically, I also want to understand, because now that we're talking about names, when exactly does this name thing come in? Because basically, of course, if you are talking about Regina Mary, yeah, Regina Mary does this, but when do you feel that you need to define what Regina Mary looks like? Because eventually there are boxes, you know, in terms of society, people get categorized, colored, white, for a particular understanding, right? But in terms of albinism, when does the name come in? Example, I need to go get a job and I'm short-sighted because I can't see far. So if the company needs to know about that so that they can accommodate me in terms of large print, do they say Regina Mary has albinism and we're saying that because we need her computer to be large screen? Or Regina Mary is coming to work here and she has albinism because she has albinism. Like, when do we start using the name, and when does the name description come about?
I had a very interesting conversation with, I think it was an interview with Bullying at her show. She brought a doctor from Vets who is linguistic. She deals with language in Zulu specifically.
Right.
So her argument was saying, look, we don't need to say a person with albinism. We can just call people by names.
Right.
I agree.
Okay.
But now, if you are writing for stats purposes or for whatever,
yes.
and I said, write in Zulu. If you know, when you say things and when you are writing things, it's a bit different because you need to paint a picture for a person.
Right.
And besides, because we live in a world where people categorize, it's male, female, it's this, it's that. You cannot run away from that.
Yes.
You're gonna be grouped. But the most important thing is, when you are grouped, you must be grouped in a way that you don't feel demeaned. If you're calling me a monkey, and this, by the way, is not just a South African thing. If you go to, I think they did a survey in 127 languages in Africa, albinism means a derogatory word. In over 100.
122.
Yeah.
countries.
So why do you think that is? I mean, we are in the 21st century where there's knowledge, there's information. The history of our countries, in most countries, we've always heard about a beginning, a middle, and a freedom, right? Most African countries, they've always had a history of apartheid and slavery. And all those things have been wiped out. Today, a lot of people come together, we unite. So why has albinism, stigma, stories, and lies carried on until 2019? I mean,
can I interject?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
please.
Before this, in the country, we only had Mama no Masonto Mazibuko. By the way, let's just say thank you to the Albinism Society, because we are what we are today because of them. They gave us that opportunity to start talking. Now, for us to get out of this or eradicate ourselves from this situation, it's this. This is the platform to do that.
Right.
Now that you guys have started, it means you are going somewhere with this. Then what we should be working for from here forth would be to say, look, in 2030, we're hoping that people will start knowing and this will be popular.
Right.
But for us to go back and say what has happened, we need to also go and acknowledge people who actually gave us a chance to say, look, this is real. She's been in this for the past, from 1992 till now, and yet the battle is not won. But she spent most of her life trying to get this done.
Okay.
And then now you guys are here. And what we need to be fighting for as the next generation would be, let's fight so that this becomes a reality. Because yet to other people, albinism is not real. You know, people don't see it as something that affects them.
Right.
But if people are taught that in every generation, in each family, the third generation, you will have someone with the condition, because this is an inherited condition.
So as actors of Uzalo episode that took place in the particular roles that you played, do you have any relation to the characters that you played as both gentlemen with albinism? I mean, I get to play theater plays on albinism and storylines, and some of them I do, but some are not. Like you said, we all have our stories. So in this case, the character that you had to portray...
For me, personally, I portrayed Mpochope. So that's the joy about it. I only had like just one day of that acting.
Right.
And the reason why I came there is that I needed to speak at that funeral to highlight that, look, yes, there are other challenges and link countries, because now what and I have a gripe with that is that a lot of people, when we speak albinism, we isolate countries. But this is actually because it started, or it was there, but in Tanzania, if we remember, in Tanzania it was like rampant, to a point where they even took people with albinism out of communities to a smaller place where to a camp. Yeah. So now, and right below Tanzania is Malawi. And if you look at it, Malawi, it was, even now, it's still crazy.
It's on, yeah.
And if you look at just below Malawi, where the killings are, is closer to the borders. And the way our continent is, I was in Malawi, we were driving in one road, I think it's a national road there. Right. This side of the road is Malawi, this side of the road is Mozambique.
Yeah.
So what happens is that there's no fence, there's no passports, you can just buy bread this side and go and eat in another country. That's how things are. And now, if you look at it, if we have one road separating two countries, and in many of our countries in this continent, we have this kind of situations where, I'll make an example with Botswana. There are certain areas in Botswana, in Mafikeng, where there's a border, and people have relatives that side and this side. So that's the kind of community as in we live in. So now, if we are in South Africa, and this is the reason why many countries, there's killing, I believe personally, that if we don't approach this holistically, we will always be crying, and this will move from this country, because these people are orchestrating this work. This is not just one man work or one certain group. There is a syndicate working on this, where if you look at it, they move from this country to that country, to this country to that country. Now, our approach is always about my country. My country is, Malawi is dealing with the issues their way. South Africa is dealing with issues their way, and so and so. And it's very key that we understand that this is not just, that's why I love programs where it's not about just South Africa. There's this country, that country that is there represented. Because now we can have conversations where I speak about something that somebody in Botswana is aware of, or somebody in whatever country. Because if we don't, we would always have this thing mushrooming in another country. And we're like, oh guys, but this country was good. It's because we have people traveling around. And we are a continent where we move around. So we cannot say, in South Africa, this is a unique, because of what we said in the beginning, that the killings are happening up there.
Far
no,
away.
it's far away. Then it is in our it's our reality now.
Okay.
And so it's key that we learn to approach things as a region. Even I suggested that they do a regional court where we deal with killings of people with albinism. We don't just say, because what is happening is that somebody will be killed in South Africa and they'll be moved to Mozambique.
Yes.
And so the bones are there. And so if we have a regional court, what would happen is that this person, whether he's killed in this country or that country, it will speed up the process.
Definitely. I'd like to know the speech that you gave at the funeral. Did you write that, or was that from the director of the show?
I wrote it actually. I wrote that piece. And that was, I think, very nice. That it was I had to write that speech. Yes. As I was saying, when we need to come at a point where we own things, where we own industries. For example, he's an actor. If he can, what I like about him also as a singer is that he has developed young learners or young kids to be able to sing. And so we need to come at a point where you develop actors, he develops actors. As a writer, I develop people with albinism also. So that if there is something, let's say maybe we are writing a soapy or a story or anything, and there's bad acting, and we chose him to select actors and train them, then when something happens, we can blame him. And if I wrote something, then it's written with a person with albinism, then I have the right to say that I am to blame. But we have a situation where, and if I don't take an opportunity, I made an example with myself that if I didn't make an opportunity of taking that opportunity, somebody else was going to be given that. So we need to understand that we have families also. We have responsibilities. If you can't be blamed for something that you did not naturally create, ensure that you develop others so that you are in a position that you develop. And if there's something that says, look, let's get acting or let's get writing, then they can say, write something about this situation, then I can be blamed for that. Definitely. Or he can be blamed for that if he did that.
Amazing. So in short, let us train each other, let us empower each other, let us be each other's leaders and each other's equipments and everything like that. So just last two questions for both of you gentlemen. To the viewers with albinism who felt that this particular episode did not represent them well, what message do you have for them, since now you're here live on My Voice sharing the fact that yes, I do have albinism, but I was portraying that as an actor. I am an independent person who can be anything, and it's a job. I sustain myself, and yes, I'm capable. So what would you both say to them?
I'll start. I'll firstly say that, look, as a person with albinism, we must understand that we are in different situations. If you understand that you're in different situations, that means that if in a role they play somebody with albinism in a mansion, and you are like me, you're not living in a mansion, then what would happen is that you'd understand that, okay, that is the case. But if somebody is living, or they show a person with albinism poor or killed or whatever, we must understand that for that person's family, that is real.
Definitely.
And you cannot, if not all of us are graduates, not all of us are living in a cushy life. So there's this saying that says, you need to pull people up starting from the leave nobody behind. Everybody says leave nobody behind. They like that saying, but it extends and say starting from the lower one. So we need to understand that as we portray albinism, as anything else is happening, we need to understand that you are not, I personally want positive stories about albinism. I want them to know that they can be anything, but not at the expense of saying that person who's down there, who's been killed or whatever, their story must not, my story must override theirs.
Definitely. And Bob 90?
Well,
they're watching, they're mad.
If you mad, be mad. Here's the thing. I'll just say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds and situations. That's it.
Definitely.
taken from Bob Marley, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
And in Paul, since you mentioned in the program about the situations in the deeper areas, like the deeper part of different countries, that this is not going to reach them today or tomorrow. So how do we make this particular awareness, Uzalo, and all these stories that we are trying to vocal out to get there to the deeper part where there is no Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, basically they're not connected to the bigger world. How do we take my voice and say, guys, this is it. Guys, this is Uzalo. Do you have any idea on how we can penetrate that?
This is a perfect example. You know, we at the same time, we thought I was telling viewers not to own albinism and even ourselves. We do different things as we are here, and we have various platforms. My platform might not resonate with everybody, but somebody might say, you know, Mpo, I don't get him, but I get Bob. So I must allow Bob to be himself. I must be myself, and you must. As many the voices. If we have 10 different people who do different things about albinism, some is a cook, some is this person is an engineer, the other one is this, then somebody out there might resonate with that, because it only takes that, you know, connection to change person's perception and perspective. It's about connection also. There are viewers who connect with you better than they connect with anybody else. But the truth is, for them, and also I have my viewers who connect with me, but the truth is, if we become who we are and not own industry and not say, look, I can do better than Bob or I can do better than Regina, then I'm not allowing people to listen to the perspective of what we can be. So I think we must keep knocking, keep doing what we do. For an example, I personally love going to communities. I love it as much as Bob loves singing, as much as you love doing what you're doing here. And so if that's the case, let everybody do what he does and reach as many people as we can.
Well, I think this is a conclusion, right? I'll just simply say, together as a collective we could do more. And as for me and my friends, the Binos is a huge community of people with the condition who are trying to go out there and make a difference. Please check us out. We're going to be in Congo, Malawi, Tanzania, and the US before the end of the year. So we're calling it edutainment at its best, where we are just giving you a bit of theatrical, musical thing with the Binos. People, everybody there in that choir is living with albinism as such. We asking you to please support us and join us in these venues that will be given to you later on.
Amazing.
And promise me that you're gonna call the Binos for just a show, musical show with them.
Of course, we want to see the Binos and my voice. We're definitely going to have those here very soon, so stay tuned. So we've come to the end of our program, and if you've been watching, you've got questions, please write to us, email us, contact us, send us your voices. Our contact details are on your screen right now. Write to us. What do you want to know? You want to get hold of Mpo, you want to get hold of Bob 90. This is how you get hold of them. Mpo, how does that person find you?
They find me at Mpo Jope on Facebook, and then on Twitter it's at JopeM, TJOPEM. On Instagram is at Jope, and we soon launching the website for our organization, the NGO. It's AAA. It's a long. We'll get there when you get to the social media exits. Thanks.
And Bob.
Well, please join us on Facebook. It's called Bob 90 and the Binos. It's a foundation, but it's also a edutainment page of people with the condition. You can also join us on our Twitter page called Bob 90 the Bino. It's where you just get to interact with us, and you can also check us on our website, www.bob90andthebinos.co.za.
Amazing. So you heard it here first on My Voice. So gentlemen, this show does not just end here. Right now, that young girl, that young boy, that one person that's about to take their life right now, that one person that can't come out of the house because they are so ashamed needs to hear your voice. So this is just your voice for whatever viewer is listening and they're like, we might both have albinism, but I'm not ready yet. So what is your voice to that viewer right now? This is for you. Listen.
Should I start? Okay. Okay. I'll share 2 lessons that I learned from boxing, and I think it's very important that I share with the viewers there. The first one is that to win, you need to get in the ring. At times, we are found with challenges, and we see that this is difficult for me, or that can be challenging for me. But you need to get there, register, try whatever that you want to try, because the only winning is in the ring. The only winning is if you try doing what you're going to do. And the second lesson that I learned from boxing is that no matter how your opponent has hit you, no matter how things have happened, you can actually hit one punch, and then that one punch can turn things around. One call, one video, one thing that can go right can turn your life around. And so that's the thing that I want to say, that the first one is that get in the ring, try things. And the second thing is that that's the most important thing, is that one thing can change your life. So don't lose hope in whatever that you're doing. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, should I go the Mpo route? If I go the Mpo route, I'll say the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to those who are strong, but opportunity is given to all. So go out there and try and make a difference. But I'd also say something like, okay, let me just sing for my woman, right? Can I?
Yeah.
Am I allowed?
Yes, so she's watching the program right now. Bob's amazing, beautiful woman.
Now let's quit the woman one. Let's sing for an albino child. Let's say, Namibia, Tanzania, Uganda, Sudan, and Zimbabwe. Albino is a black man too. Nigeria, Tunisia, Botswana, Nigeria, Tunisia. Yes, sis.
Yes.
There we go. There we go.
That was amazing.
There we go.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for staying tuned and watching our program. Until next time with Regina Mary and My Voice. See you next time. My Voice. My Voice.
You discriminate, I'm calling it. You think I'm human.